Kohachi, a detective specializing in supernatural cases, is called upon by a hostess at a local inn in a secluded village in rural Japan. His mission is to unravel a series of mysterious incidents involving decaying and mutilated livestock corpses that have been appearing without any apparent cause. During his investigation, Kohachi encounters an intriguing young boy toiling in the fields. This boy, shunned by his peers and labeled Dorotabou due to his foul odor, is astonished that someone would take an interest in him. Driven by curiosity, Kohachi enlists Dorotabou's help in solving the case, despite facing disapproving glances from the villagers. Unbeknownst to Dorotabou, this joint investigation will expose him to a bizarre new realm, a world where human beings coexist with creature-like entities called Kemono, ultimately injecting purpose and meaning into his previously empty existence. As Kohachi embarks on his journey from Tokyo to the countryside, his car's tire suddenly goes flat. Fortunately, this happens near the village, and the hostess of Kanoka Villa, upon her arrival to pick him up, discovers him in need of assistance. During their drive to the villa, she expresses her concern and instructs Kohachi to keep the details of the decaying bodies and disappearing livestock a secret. Being the composed detective that he is, Kohachi assures her that he will discreetly investigate the matter. Upon reaching the villa, they engage in an outdoor conversation over tea, where Kohachi notices a diligent yet reserved young boy working in the nearby fields. Although Kohachi waves at him, the boy remains unresponsive. Later, while taking a bath, Kohachi receives a visit from Yotaro, the hostess's son. Yotaro provides him with information about Yokai, the boy whom Kohachi had observed earlier. Yotaro reveals that Yokai is commonly referred to as Dorotabou due to his persistent, unpleasant odor. During dinner, as Dorotabou serves Kohachi, the detective seizes the opportunity to inquire about any peculiar occurrences in the fields. Dorotabou explains that the slaughtered livestock display signs of their internal organs being devoured, exclusively happening on New Year's night. Intrigued, Kohachi decides to await the next full moon, which is in 5 days, before taking further action. A few days pass, and while in the fields with Dorotabou, Kohachi notices that the boy is wearing a lifestone. He explains to Dorotabou that this stone, known as a lifestone, possesses special properties that protect him in a world where he has been abandoned by his parents. On the night of the new moon, a confrontation arises between Yotaro and Dorotabou. Yotaro, being the bully that he is, snatches Dorotabou's stone. This proves a fatal mistake on his part as it triggers a transformation in the young boy, who begins to morph into a monstrous creature. Frightened, Yotaro flees the scene. When Kohachi arrives to see Dorotabou, the boy reveals the existence of Kemono, creatures that mate with humans, resulting in offspring that are a hybrid of humans and Kemono. He explains that the stone Dorotabou wears prevents his inner demon from being unleashed. In haste, the two rush to find Yotaro and arrive just in time to witness him being attacked by wild Kemono. After successfully defeating the Kemono, Kohachi discloses to Dorotabou that his original intent was to eliminate him. However, circumstances change and Kohachi devises a plan where he pretends to kill Dorotabou and then takes him to Tokyo, leaving the village behind forever. In Tokyo, Kabana, which is the real name of Dorotabou, visits Kohachi's counseling office. There he encounters Shiki and Akira, who are colleagues of Kohachi. Kohachi proposes the idea of Kabani working with them, explaining that they are Kemonoists dedicated to safeguarding Kemonos and preventing them from revealing themselves to the world, as well as solving related cases. Shiki, however, appears to have a contentious relationship with Kabani right off the bat, creating tension between the two. Later, an urgent case emerges, prompting Kohachi, Kabana, Shiki, and Akira to rush to the scene. The area is swarmed with ambulances and police vehicles, and alarms blare loudly. Kohachi enters the house to find police officers gathered outside a room. Inside, a horrifying infestation of bugs has taken hold, devouring a woman and her young son. Upon first glance, they identify the culprit as a Kemono. Shiki volunteers to take the lead and attempts to trap the bugs using his Kemono silk, resembling a spider's web. However, his plan fails. Kabana then steps in and effortlessly eliminates the bugs, unaffected by pain due to his bloodless demon nature. The family expresses their gratitude towards Kabana, which brings him a sense of belonging and kinship. Following this case, Kabana confides in Kohachi about his yearning to meet his parents. Kohachi gathers Akari, Shiki, and Kabana and reveals their upcoming meeting with Inarioko, a powerful kitsune Kemono associated with the police. They arrive at the Shinkuju police station and request to meet with Superintendent Inari. Initially, the receptionist mocks them, but soon Inari's assistant personally escorts Kabana to a meeting room. Inside, Kabana finds Inari waiting for him, who already knows about him thanks to Kohachi. Inari reveals her knowledge of Kabane, being a human hanyo, and inquires about his livestone. Kabane surrenders the stone to her. Inari explains that with the livestone, Kemonos no longer need to coexist with humans. Suddenly, Inari's assistant swiftly beheads Kabane, and Inari orders her assistant to dispose of the body. Shiki and Akira, waiting in the lobby, grow increasingly impatient. After a few moments, Kabane miraculously reappears, but in the form of Inari's assistant Kanebe. Kanebe reveals her plans to kill Shiki and Akira, disclosing that she is also a Kitsune Kemono, and proceeds to set the entire police department ablaze. She unveils that everyone working in the department is under Inari's control. In the midst of chaos, Shiki manages to use his silk to retrieve the suitcase containing Kabane's head from Kanebe's grip. Shiki and Akira escape with the head. To their surprise, Kabane is still alive and instructs Shiki to throw his head at Kanebe. After much hesitation, Shiki follows the instruction and Kabane bites off Kanebe's shoulder, restoring normalcy. Kabane's body regenerates and Shiki and Kabane finally reconcile. Later, Kohachi arrives at the police department to pick them up, offering his congratulations. Kabane discovers that the livestone Inari took from him was a fake. They'd all return to their office, where Kohachi explains their business strategy and how they attract customers. Inari's personal assistant secretly follows them, hoping to retrieve Kabane's head to deliver it to Inari. However, the group discovers her presence and brings her inside, where they provide her with food. Meanwhile, they receive another customer. The unsuspecting human customer Khan, who enters Kohachi's office, finds themselves indulging in alcohol at the bar. Meanwhile, Kabane is bewildered by the fact that half of the office is dedicated to serving drinks. Akira and Shiki clarify that prior to operating his detective business, Kohachi had aspirations of running a bar. Kohachi and the others. Later, Kohachi persuades Khan to join their latest assignment, enticing her with the promise of obtaining Kabane's head as a reward. Yoruno, a man who has fallen under the spell of a nekomata after being seduced by her, has taken to collecting rats out of a misguided sense of affection. Upon overhearing Akira mention that children are born out of love, Kabane decides to embark on this mission, hoping it will provide him with insight into his own parents. The nekomata in question, Mao, also works as a hostess in Kabukicho and has been transforming customers like Yoruno into cats with human faces. Although Yoruno is shocked by this revelation, he feels no attachment to his human existence and willingly agrees to become a cat and live with Mao. Kohachi casts an illusion spell on an orange to make it resemble Kabane's head, which he then gives to Khan. Kabane shares his belief that love is akin to light with everyone and decides to express his appreciation by getting gifts for each of them, starting with some practical tissues for Kohachi. After witnessing Kabane's growth in handling his responsibilities, Akira feels motivated to contribute as well. However, his fondness for cute and charming things, combined with his aversion to scary or repulsive elements, often hinders his progress. Nevertheless, he resolves to accompany Kohachi on a mission to the polluted Shibuya River, where workers constructing a dam have been meeting untimely deaths caused by fraud Kemono. While journeying through the tunnel where the river flows, Akira confides in Kabane about his decision to seek out Kohachi in search of his twin brother, after the two of them left their predominantly female village in Omori. As the fraud Kemono attack, Akira unleashes a potent wave of ice, instantly freezing everything in the tunnel. While Kabane is cleaning the floor, he recalls Kohachi's warning never to open the door at the end of the hallway. Curiosity gets the better of him, and as he moves the boxes away from the door, he is unexpectedly pulled in by someone. As Kohachi learns about this, he hurries to Kabane's side. The person who yanked Kabane turns out to be a vampire named Mihai, who provides ICT services for the Inugami counseling office. Surprisingly, Mihai seems unfazed that Kohachi has hired another Kemono. Mihai takes Kabane under his wing, making him his personal butler and assigning him all the tasks that come with it. One day, Akira and Shiki visit Mihai's office to intervene and put an end to Kabane's excessive workload. Later on, Khan and Kabane have an argument when she reveals that Inari has completely abandoned her, leading her to feel powerless. Subsequently, Mihai approaches Kohachi and complains about Kabane injuring his wrist while demonstrating their powers, expressing concern over the danger involved. Shiki experiences a flashback to his childhood and realizes that he has always had an aversion to scary things. He acknowledges that he cannot recall the details of separating from his mother, leading him to believe that something truly terrifying must have occurred. Mihai confesses to Akira and Kabane that he accidentally alerted the enemies to Shiki's presence, prompting Akira and Kabane to rush to find Shiki. On their way, they encounter one of the Kanamba sisters. Meanwhile, Shiki, still inside the building, knows he should flee but finds himself unable to move. Miyai informs him that mosquitoes use a numbing poison while extracting blood, expressing his anticipation of witnessing Shiki's blood and organs being drained painlessly until he loses consciousness. Kabane defeats Momoka, and he and Akira enter the building in search of Shiki. In the meantime, Miyai provokes Shiki to elicit a reaction, which proves successful. Shiki strikes Miyai's car, injuring his hand, but he realizes he can move once again. Remembering that mosquitoes sense their prey using clues such as carbon dioxide, body temperature, and foot odor, Shiki sets a trap using webs made from his sweat to confuse the Kanamba and ensnares Erika. Akira and Kabane reunite with Shiki, but Miyai insists they cannot leave yet because it would be boring. They discuss their next course of action when the eldest Kanamba sister, Reika, arrives. Reika kills her sisters effortlessly, defeats Shiki and Akira, and even overpowers Kabane with her immense strength. Realizing that Reika is much stronger than he is, Kabane refuses to give up because he understands that if she defeats him, she will kill Shiki and Akira. He fights against her despite sustaining injuries, even breaking his wrists in the process. Miyai intervenes and reveals that Kabane's inability to defeat him or Reika stems from relying solely on his human strength rather than his kimono powers. He advises Kabane to tap into his most powerful desire, his need to protect Akira and Shiki, in order to unleash his kimono powers. Kabane harnesses this strength and manages to tear off Reika's arms, realizing that it resembles the power he used against Itoro, but with greater control. Nobumaru arrives and sets the Kanamba sisters on fire. He tells Kabane that Inari wants his like stone, but he hates her. Kabane, Akira, and Shiki return home. Kabane remembers a promise with Kon and finds her waiting. He confesses forgetting to meet her. The end. For now. Thanks for watching. If you like this recap, please consider to like and subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell to be notified of any new recap. And while you're at it, check out this new recap appearing on the screen.